So with that as context, let me show you how this works. So there's a few different options for contributors. The first is an experience we call the Ldx Editor Application. You can think of this as sort of a live version of the data and map books, which allow you to draw on the map and provide textual feedback on data, as well as in some cases directly edit or correct that data. So let's take a look. Again, I think hopefully a relatively familiar experience. We'll start by selecting a jurisdiction. In this case, I'll select Anaheim. From there, we can select a data layer. So these are the 19 that are there initially, and this list is anticipated to grow between now and May. So I'll select transit priority areas to get started. So first, you can learn more about transit priority areas over on the left. You also note that this is for reference only, meaning that it can't be edited, but I can provide feedback. So again, I get like kind of an interactive data map book. I can zoom in, I can click on these features to get more information. It's all kind of interactive. But let's say I'm noticing that there should really be a transit priority area right here below the Anaheim label. So if I click on feedback, I can use different tools, in a sense, highlight the area for which I'm providing feedback. So maybe I'll do it, right here. I can say, this should also be a TPA, please reference source documentation here, and maybe I include a link, and I can submit that to SCAG. Now, what's happening behind the scenes is it's actually initiating a job so that this feedback all the way through the process, whether it's accepted or rejected, is tracked and reported on and can be audited at a later date. So now that feedback been sent to SCAG, that job will take on a life of its own. But maybe just to continue and show you a few other options, let me switch to a different type of data. So I'm going to switch to general plan land use. So in order to really edit this data and interact with it, I need to zoom in a little bit more. So I'm going to come in here, and now I'm looking at general plan land use again for the city of Anaheim. Maybe I noticed that this specific parcel here, just symbology wise, I can tell that looks off. I can see in here it's general office use is what the general plan land use code is for that. Now I could draw a box around that and say this needs to be updated, but let's say I'm pretty familiar with this data. I know, in fact, that this should be residential, not office use. So I can actually come into the Edit tab, which I'll note editing is currently in beta. There's some improvements likely to come, but it is there and ready to use. So I'd encourage you to check it out and provide feedback. And I can start editing. So the first thing is I'm asked whether or not I want to create a new job or open an existing one. Come back to that in just a moment. I have no new job, so I'll create a new job. So now I'm in edit mode. Zoom in a little bit here. I'll note that I can edit through the map. I can also switch to table view. And so I can choose to limit things to my current map extent. So let me switch back. So for example, if I continue to zoom in, the intent is to let you pretty easily go back and forth between map and table view, as well as interact or edit through either the map or table view. But I'll stick in map view. I can select this feature. And here I have a collection of attributes, only a subset of those I'm allowed to edit. I'm going to switch the general office use to multifamily residential. I update that. You can see the symbology of that feature changed. And I can even choose to select on the map those features that I've edited. So if I get into a larger edit session and I can't remember what I've actually changed, This makes it easy to select and highlight only what you've changed. So at this point, let's say I go on to make a few more edits. I can choose to submit these edits to SCAG. Because this is production, I want to keep the data clean. I'm gonna say no, but if I click yes, this would actually initiate that job, go to my local reviewer, who would then review and ultimately make it to SCAG. And when it's a data correction or an edit directly like this, it makes it really easy for that to be incorporated all the way through once it's reviewed and approved. But let's say I'm not going to do that yet. I want to come back to this tomorrow. I can choose to stop editing. You'll notice that my feature goes back to what it was, because in a sense, I haven't changed that representation of the data. I've only proposed that change in that edit session. So now if I wanted to pick up, I could say start editing, and I will have that job that I just created a moment ago here that I can pick. I select that, and now it switches back to that state. So it's kind of the idea of creating these edit sessions tied to jobs. Once I've submitted, it's then out of my hands. It then goes to the local reviewer. So in addition to those editing tools, there are a few other things here as well. I mentioned select edit features, table view. If you want to just zoom to a location, you can do that. You have the option of switching to different base maps. So for example, if you want to look at this on aerial imagery, you can do that as well. High resolution printing, so you can print to PDFs in layout format and various page setups, as well as map only view. This may be handy if you want to create, in a sense, your own map book like representation of this data. You can do that straight from here, as well as legend and map capture. Lastly, of course, request for technical assistance is in here, allowing you to engage directly with the list team. And also pretty cool, now that I'm logged in, when I click the app switcher, it actually should show me the other apps as well. I don't know what happened there, but you can switch back and forth to some of the other applications too. So that's the Ldx Editor application. And this is allowing you to correct data, make edits directly against the data itself if you feel comfortable doing that, as well as providing feedback on any of the data layers that SCAG is making available.